How many people play games in this room? Can you put your hands up? Right, I'm not just talking about Call of Duty and Titanfall, I mean like Candy Crush, Angry Birds, Flappy Birds. Come on, Flower. So, does anybody want to admit how many hours they spend playing games per week?
7.
7 hours, okay? Right, I'm going to give you a crazy stat here. So collectively, in the world, gamers spend about 4 billion hours per week playing games. Pretty incredible, isn't it? We need more. So one of my favorite games researchers is a woman called Jane McGonigal. And she said that we need 21 billion hours per week of gameplay to start solving some of the world's greatest problems, like poverty, climate change, and obesity. So games are a powerful way to do good, and that's what I want to tell you a little bit about today. So I grew up playing games since I was a kid. I played with the Spectrum, the Commodore 64. Some of you might be too young to remember that. You'll see it in a museum, maybe. But playing games was like a real social thing for me. My family used to spend time on a Friday night playing all sorts of games like Pac-Man, Space Invaders. And games really helped me when I was a kid, because my dad died when I was 7. And it was a really difficult time. And not only was I playing games, but I was also building games. I would basically find any old rubbish in my mum's house and make games. So just find things lying around. Sorry, I think my slide's a little bit messed up. So I would build games from scratch. And what I realized years later is that I heard this quote about an entrepreneur where entrepreneurs are frustrated with the world that they live in, so they build things to make the world a better place. And this is exactly what I was doing. And I continued on with gaming throughout the rest of my life, well, up until now. And when I was a teenager, I used to play so much, I used to tell my friends I was grounded, just so I can stay in and get to the next level of Sonic the Hedgehog and beat Dr. Robotnik. And then years on after that, when I was at university, I found a team of developers, and they were building games for education, and I loved this. So I ended up joining them and being part of a startup from, it was about 2001. And we were doing some pretty amazing things, creating games for good, games where you can learn and train. And this had never been done before. And I loved this space so much. So I went on to then create my own company, which I sold a few years after that. But what I realized in the 10 years of working within Games for Good was that I was kind of a rare breed in the games industry. There weren't very many women. But I kind of used this as a bit of an advantage. My passion was about games for good, and if I could leverage opportunities to tell the world about why games were good, then I was going to do that, because games helped me, and I can see how games could help other people. So that's what I did. But it didn't come without its challenges. I'd be at games events and was mistaken for a promo girl, even though I was just wearing my normal clothes. It wasn't like I was in cosplay or anything. And one time at a pitch, I was pitching to investors, and a fellow pitchee said, "It was okay for you because you're a woman, so you've probably got a rich husband that's funded you this far." I was single at the time. So what I learned there was people will doubt you, people will make comments, but use that to really propel yourself forward, and that's what I did. But the real life-changing time for me was when Farmville came out. Did anyone play Farmville? It's still going. So 2010, Farmville, had been going for a couple of years, and but what they did was something incredible in this year. So the Haiti earthquake had happened, and Farmville is a social game. You can buy items inside the game, like seeds and crops. And what they did to support the victims of the earthquake were they sold an item where players could purchase it, and 50% of the proceeds was going to the Red Cross. And they raised over $1 million in just 5 days. This was incredible. But what was also amazing was not only were they making a social good impact, but they'd also made an impact on the business as well. Players were playing for longer, they were telling their friends, they were more engaged. So here we noticed a trend where players would be more engaged in the game and content because it was doing good. And also we were doing good at the same time. And this was a real light bulb moment for me. Imagine if you can take all that gaming time and effort that we spend playing games and turn that into social good. And it's got a good impact on the business too. So that led me to setting up Playmob. So in 2011, I set the company up. And My big goal is to raise $1 billion for causes just by small actions of playing games. How easy is that? It's a big goal, but we're getting there. You know, we've worked with some of the biggest studios in the world. We've worked with Electronic Arts. We've worked with Rovio, who make Angry Birds. We've also worked with the likes of Glue that make the Kardashian game, if anybody's played it. But we've made a really big impact as well. We've helped thousands and thousands of children receive education who wouldn't have had access to education before. We've helped thousands of families receive food and water, and we've helped protect endangered animals, everything from pandas and big cats to the bullfrog. And it's really hard to believe that 15 years ago when I started out in gaming for good, that it wasn't really a thing. People laughed at it. They thought games were frivolous. What can we learn from games? But actually, we're turning that on its head. Games can actually make a huge impact. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I know I'm only allowed to ask one question, but I'm going to ask two. So this picture behind me, this is the Wright brothers. Really famous picture. It's the first flight, and it's one of the most transformational inventions of that century. Traveling from London to New York used to take 4 days in the 1900s, and in 1950 it started taking 6 hours. It's incredible. It's an amazing invention. But how long do you think it took for people to notice? Does anybody want to answer? Our guests? Yeah, about 4.5 years. It's pretty incredible. But Jeff Bezos really summed this up when it came to understanding innovation. And he said, innovation requires a long-term willingness to be misunderstood. So I want to leave with a final question. And this, I want you to think about relating to what you do now and what you do in the future. But if no one recognized what you were doing, would you still do it? Thank you for listening.